Okay, the stream is live. The recording is live. Okay, on 3. Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Okay, this is Morgan Montwo, episode 57. We shot it in March of 2023 and released it sometime after.
And fun little fact, all the other locations we went to in our first 5 episodes, I think it was, we had revisited, except for this one. This one took us a while to get back to. We had done Hoosier twice, and then obviously we went back to the island and Dolly Sods multiple times.
Yeah, so this was our second episode ever that we filmed, this location, right?
Yeah.
And Brian's first appearance.
Yeah, that's true. That is my first.
That is funny. Yeah.
Okay, so do you guys remember anything about this trip? I think things will come to me as we go, but I do remember when we got there was a bike event happening.
Oh, and the original one, you mean?
No, this one.
I do kind of remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right. And also, it had rained really hard the previous day.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the aftermath of that right here.
Which I think Brian and I came in from a different entrance.
Yeah.
We didn't see him.
I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Which I don't know why that was the case, because you guys...
Right, we came from the opposite direction and met up.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense because you guys would have... You also came from the east. The northeast.
Yeah, I don't know.
So.
I don't know why Google works.
How much earlier did you get there than us?
I don't think it was that much earlier. Oh, okay, so this song is a remix of the Off Trail March song, which was one of the first songs we wrote, and it was for the original Morgan Monroe episode.
I think that might have been the first song we ever wrote. Yeah.
This trip was really nice because I think this was the first trip we had done in a long time that was just going to be a really relaxing trip, and then we were bringing food to cook and stuff.
Also, I was wrong. I don't think that was the first. Anyway, we are doing an extra part of the trail that we didn't do last time. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You cut out for a second there, but you basically said we're doing a different section of the trail, right?
Right. But if you go back to that map sequence, there's a road, and on the left side of the road, there's no camping allowed. So we had to camp in the right side, which is the backpacking zone.
Right. Man, this could not have been a more leafless forest.
Yeah. I've talked about it before, but I actually really like camping in those sorts of conditions.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's definitely different.
The woods feel much more open in that season.
Yeah. That's kind of why I like pine forests, because they always feel more open because there's not a lot of low branches.
I love the look of bark peeling. There's a Ray Mears scene where he's harvesting fresh willow bark, and he just peels the entire piece of bark off the log he's cut down, and it's so satisfying.
The nature equivalent of peeling off the plastic protection.
Yeah.
To electronics.
Yes.
So satisfying to see that.
Ellie was about to step on my computer.
Here and there, we saw older, larger trees among the younger forest.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about these sorts of episodes is because the scenery is not as incredible, you kind of pay attention to these smaller little interesting bits, like this creek, for example, or interesting rocks that in Glacier National Park, a big boulder wouldn't really make you think twice.
That's
true.
true.
Here, it's you film it.
Yeah, yeah. This was an interesting little stream, though.
Yeah.
It has kind of a feel of ruins of an ancient civilization. It's not what it is, but it looks cool like that.
Yeah. Did I just say that?
Oh, I don't know.
I said the word civilization. So.
I think they're old growth trees. Oh, this is huge. Yeah, this in particular is some sort of red oak.
Man, that is a big tree.
Yeah.
Up ahead, we saw another one of my favorite trees with strange markings in the bark.
Oh, and that phrase, this is the first time where I was saying one of my favorite trees in the original episode.
This place is the first time I think I said that this was one of my
Yeah, I just say it right there. But
So, as far as the origin of that phrase, when you said it the first time, was it actually one of your favorite trees, or was it just kind of like, I need a way to end this segment?
I want to say it actually was. I like how they look. So, but it was like, it's not like I had thought that hard about it, but
Yeah.
every time I saw those trees, I liked the way they looked. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is that just a growth? That small red nub, as
That's a weird looking thing.
was from a lead-free hunting bullet.
Lead-free hunting bullet. Weird.
Yeah.
We saw color among the leaf litter.
So we just talked about how much more greenery there is here. And
So I don't know if I mentioned it in the narration, but these plants we identify later on in the episode. But these are a type of sedge, I believe.
How do you spell sedge? You've told me before, but I forgot.
Sedje.
J-E, not G-E?
Ge. Sorry. I was thinking of as I said that, I was thinking of that story I wrote when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Classic turkey tail fungus, but there's also these larger bracket fungi. If you look at the underside, it has almost this maze-like structure. This mushroom was in the
Wow, that is horrible. That looks like the Syncope logo. There's some
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
movie company or something.
Yeah, it's like that maze.
Something just off the trail caught our eye. A pile of old rusty metal.
I feel like Robby is always fascinated by this sort of stuff.
I am, yeah. What it makes me feel like,
Uh-huh.
it's when you see stuff like that, you know that it had an actual, like that actually somebody interacted with that, drove it out there. That happened.
Yeah, that is true.
You just never get to actually know what happened.
Right.
Kind of like the beginning of the universe. The beginning of the universe definitely happened, and like the formation of the solar system happened, and something got to experience it at least. Which is the same for like the end of the universe. That's going to happen.
I'm just laughing because it was a rusty car, and now we're talking about like the highest of existential philosophy.
All roads lead to existentialism.
I realize I'm using my red backpack.
I think it's because I'm using my big one too, and I think it's because we had lots of like cooking equipment and stuff. I know I was at least. Oh, we also have our like winter gear. It's still pretty chilly.
Man, we're about to enter winter again.
Yeah.
Actually
really
looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too, actually.
After Japan and the heat of Japan, just winter, just kill me, winter.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I know.
Although it's a little Huh?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, apparently this trip it was fairly warm because Andrew's actually like sweating on his. Like,
but I just sweat.
I was gonna say, I was like, it's March. Andrew is sweating. Although even I'm not wearing a coat, so if I'm not wearing a coat, that's a good barometer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so.
Gauge,
I mean, I'm sure I talk about it in the video here, but that was just a little tree identification pamphlet that I got when I was signing us in. Did you guys ever have to do a leaf identification thing in elementary school?
Yeah.
Probably.
I actually specifically remember getting sycamore leaves from this like farm near where we grew up, and like being astonished how big the leaves were.
I remember when I did mine, the teacher told us there was like a leaf identification class that was happening at the local park. And then I went there, and you're not allowed to pick the leaves off of the tree. But my dad, every time the tour guide wasn't looking, he'd pick a leaf off the tree for me.
That's funny.
But the path now led us into a safety zone where hunting was restricted. That's kind of cool. You can actually see here where they.
Yeah, I do remember the first time we came here, we put our orange covers on just to be visible.
Well, we were also doing off-trail.
Right. That was the
Yeah.
Yeah.
It always feels a little weird when we're hiking, and just in the distance you can see the road. and cars pass you.
I mean, Brian's red backpack is pretty bright too.
Yeah.
And that neon green tent bag.
But in spite of our proximity
And I've got those
there was still plenty of beautiful
neon yellow shoes.
to behold.
Some sort of red cup fungus right there.
Oh, that is a red cup fungus.
So this fungus is also called the scarlet cup fungus, and technically I think scarlet cup is the more commonly used common name, but when you use common names it doesn't really matter. Like precision is not that important.
So it might not look like much, but this dried up green leaf is actually the leaf belonging to something called putty root, which is actually a type of orchid.
Putty root.
Flash as like the sorts of orchids you might buy from the supermarket or that grow in a tropical region, but it's still really cool to see a leaf growing in the middle, all this brown dried up leaf litter belonging to the orchid family.
As the trail neared the road, we could see signs of civilization in the distance. Early afternoon was slowly shifting to evening as we neared the junction.
Yeah, I see a sign for the Tecumseh.
Did we explain? I don't think the narration definitely didn't say it just now, but that building that you just saw was where I signed in.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I didn't either, actually.
I remember briefly being on a gravel road. Or are we going on this one now?
Yeah, I think we're going on that one.
Yeah, Google Maps has this.
Oh, was this the trip where we were hiking like on a road and we saw like the weird science experiments or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's coming up right here, actually.
Yeah. That's why I just suddenly remembered.
Yeah, so we took a pretty long break here to get the drone shots, which you'll see in a second.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember this year we had a couple episodes in a row where we were able to use the drone. It was kind of nice.
National forests are so nice. Or this isn't even a national, but yeah.
It was a state forest, wasn't it?
Yeah. This was a really interesting part of the trail just because it was so different.
There's something to be said about trips that are just
We saw a cell tower in the distance.
easy and you kind of just get to
Oh, yeah.
amble about and not really like have to concern yourself with distance or time.
This was such a fun, relaxing trip. Like it's obviously, maybe it doesn't pull as many views as the glacier or whatever, but this is like one of the most enjoyable trips I remember from the year. Like just pure relaxation.
These type of trips, I feel like these are the heart and soul of Adventure Archive.
Yeah. Like the spirit of it is
the
just
spirit, exactly.
Yeah.
Because like even when we're going to a place like amazing place like Glacier, it's the feeling that you get. It's the same sort of feeling that you get from this episode that I feel like makes the Glacier.
Yeah. That you just can like wander and see new things. Like this stuff reminds me of when I was younger and really hungry to go backpacking, and I just like camped in a random forest in a neighborhood.
It's got a really strong garlic smell. I don't know if I'm just hungry, but these taste delicious.
With plenty of time on our leisurely hike, we decided to take a quick break.
Oh, there's a drone shot right
Yeah.
The sun continued falling, illuminating the forest in a warm, golden glow.
Man, just as far as the eye can see, not a single leaf.
We continued
Yeah.
with our leisurely pace. We hadn't hiked very far at all.
So Andrew was saying that we've hiked maybe 2 miles today, and even if we need to get
Yeah, some of the trees are starting to look like that again, and it's like every summer you forget that the world is for half the year.
Yeah.
Not the world, but it depends where you live.
And it's great.
Part of the appeal of hikes like this is being able to take your time and explore nature.
So this song,
This is the type of
one of the things that I discovered, if you want to make kind of an interesting sound that you haven't done before, use half steps. So instead of just going from like
the road intersected
G to
with a private
A,
driveway leading
do like
to
G to G sharp.
As we continued, the
Yeah.
So this one, it's like bloop, 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 bloop.
Mm-hmm.
Although it wasn't the most natural area, this more civilized section of the trail still felt unique and interesting as part of the long.
Oh, I see. Like as a chord.
Well, it's like a little flam, so they don't hit it exactly at the same time.
Oh, okay.
It's like a grace note.
I forget
like
what
that.
the
I like that shot a
technical
lot.
term is. It's been too long since I've played piano, like red piano music, but
Really like that winding road on this shot. And this one we just
Yeah.
like, which is nice.
Smell a fire somewhere. Probably someone's backyard, but
So, you guys remember Dave, the guy we had bread with?
maybe look forward to
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
He moved to a place like this apparently, where
Oh,
he's
really?
just like right on the
Oh.
edge of a state forest.
where it's like,
Huh.
am I dreaming?
This I actually remembered this trail when we were in Japan hiking to Kumanokoto. Because there's those sections that would wind through towns and stuff.
This stretch of road was coming to an end.
Like,
Yeah.
It weirdly reminded me of that part.
Intersection with the low gap road.
The road should be just up ahead. Oh yeah, you can
That part also reminds me of when me and Robbie did Shawnee.
and find a campsite somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And as we crossed, we noticed someone had written their name on the street.
I still wonder what that is about.
Somebody with spray paint and probably like 14 years old. They rode their BMX bike to that intersection. Like, I'm gonna spray paint this.
Like Bart Simpson,
Decent looking campsite we could
Logan
cross.
Simpson.
They put like their social security number under it. They'll never find me.
Kept our eyes peeled
Oh,
for the campsite.
logo.
We noticed a monkey on the ground. Got a little rotting stick with
Okay, so
jelly fungus on it.
Oh yeah.
Related
the
to
campsite
fungus.
we find
Feels kinda, like, appetizing if you're
is
into
really good, but
looks like
It was okay.
well, no, I mean it was good. But the
Mhm.
couple funny things about it. One is that you guys actually scouted ahead, and there was campsites up ahead, but we didn't see them until the next morning.
Kind of at the top
Mm.
of a ridge.
And then two is that somebody walked through the campsite in the morning.
Oh yeah. It was almost like on what looks like an old trail,
To keep going.
but it wasn't marked on the map or anything.
So I can't remember if I heard or saw them or not, but you said you saw
I
or
think I
heard
saw
them?
them. Yeah, I saw them, and they just kind of walked through and didn't say anything or. It was funny because it looks like we would have had ample opportunities to camp, but so much of this was actually shrubby.
Is gonna be much clearer from the brambles, but I feel like this might be a good spot to start looking for campsites up here.
Yeah, looks promising.
Oh, Andrew had his tarp. Did you tarp on this one?
Yeah. It's like my favorite weather to tarp in.
There's no reason we can't camp here.
It's my favorite weather to hammock in.
Entrance up to the road. I'm down.
I will scout a little further down without my pack, just out of curiosity. But
Yeah, good idea. I'll sit on the bench and keep it warm.
Yeah, I mean there were campsites ahead, but I feel like it was
putting our
still
packs down, we split
a
up and
decent
moved
ways
around to
ahead.
other sites.
if we didn't see anything.
Yeah, I don't really remember, but if there were campsites that I missed, it probably wasn't like super obvious.
Right.
If it was
No,
super
you
obvious,
see it
then I
in the next
probably
morning.
didn't go far enough.
The others were back.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is
Nothing really stuck
I
out.
probably didn't go far enough. But
Oh yeah. I'm just saying that we show it in the episode, the campsite
okay.
up ahead.
Right.
We sat around a while, watching as the amber glow of the sun.
that sunset
long,
is
stretching
the
shadows
light from the sunset is actually super nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More drone shots.
Yeah, so I was droning while you were looking for the campsites.
Right.
Another example of what we talked about in the Seneca Creek commentary where
Yeah.
there's some task to be done and I'm like, well, I'll make myself useful.
We were excited at the end of our journey to be able to wander around freely and experience.
Man,
the
I'm gonna
world
get
as
hungry while I watch this. I'm already hungry. We haven't even cooked
Forgot
food. yet.
forgot what I brought.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I remember, but I do remember the nasty jellies.
Oh yeah, that would have been great as a dessert, but there was some reason that we just did it as breakfast.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, yeah, it was like heavy and too much trouble to deal with all in one night.
That seems like a good time.
Wait, what were the nasty jellies? Did we?
You'll
that was
see it
something
in
we
the
ate.
breakfast. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, let's just
I mean, they're
Oh,
not
okay.
nasty. They're just really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It was time to set up camp, and we all had separate shelters. The hammock for Bryan,
Dude.
for myself.
So did we play the sound of those like dogs or wolves fighting or something?
I think we do, actually.
Just like absolute chaos.
Yeah.
I love a good hammocking.
Yeah, it's like this sort of camping is so great. Like plenty of
Yeah.
hammock and tarp trees, and the open air is so nice. Oh yeah, then my tarp setup was a little wonky, but
What else is new?
Been using that tarp for years, and for some reason you still just.
Brian took the best trees.
Actually, Andrew's tarp reminds me of like. Actually, it's kind of like doing a live stream. Every time I do a live stream, I can't remember how I did it last time, like how I set up all the software. And just every time it's like bespoke, and I'm learning it for the first time. Or like using After Effects.
Yeah.
Every single time I'm like, crap, I gotta look up a tutorial again.
The thing I don't get about you using your tarp, setting up your tarp, Andrew, is you always insist on trying to set it up like that. But if you just brought like 2 hiking poles, you'd have like a guaranteed good setup no matter where you are.
Yeah, but I never use hiking poles, so it's just.
Well, then don't complain when I take the good trees.
Well, that just means that from now on, Brian should definitely bring hiking poles. Just you bring them every time, because then they'll have multi-use, you know?
Yeah, but then Andrew like has some mental block where he won't use them.
Oh.
No, I'll use them if I need to.
No, I had a hiking pole, and I offered it to you for the support on the. You had one side supported by a regular stick, and you refused my hiking pole for some reason.
Because I already used the stick, I guess.
You see?
It's like, too late, I've set it up already. There's no time for that.
A cool breeze would knock that over, so I don't want to deal with that. No, I mean, in all seriousness, this campsite was less than ideal. It was just like kind of a narrow area, and there wasn't a lot of places that had both flat, clear ground that also had like the nice 2 trees that you could use. So
yeah, you guys need hammocks.
Well, then I would have been even worse, like more out of luck. Because the tarp you can at least suspend on a little stick.
No, but there's plenty of trees. It's just that there's not enough flat ground.
Oh, that's true.
So
Yeah.
Hammock, you don't have to worry about flat ground. You just need the trees.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing with the tarp is, like with the hammock, you only need the 2 trees. With the tarp, you also need to consider the space where you pull it out, and actually stake it into the ground. You know.
I think next time you tarp, I want to set it up.
Okay.
Just try it. Like in a
I mean, I feel like most of my tarp setups have been great.
No. I think that's fine. But honestly, I think it would be interesting, more interesting for the videos too, if you just tried different setups instead of doing the same one every time. Because
I usually go between the A-frame and the lean-to. But the reason I do the lean-to so much is because the reason I tarp is so I can just sleep out in the open. So I don't want like too much blockage of the air.
You're already under a tarp. You're not going to reduce the blockage that much unless you just drape the tarp.
Well, it's like
you don't even set it up.
An airframe I use when it rains. But if it's a clear night, then I prefer the lean-to because then I have
We do still have the tarp plug net thing that I made for you.
Oh yeah, I need to use that. Yeah. But the nice thing about a lean-to is you can just like you literally look right out into the openness, and you can just like get up and.
No, I mean I get that.
Yeah.
So going back to the fire starting real quick, how come those feather sticks were able to be ignited just from the sparks? Was that fat wood or something?
Well, feather sticks, if you do them well, they can catch a spark. But those were fat wood, so that just made it even more. Yeah. Although the advantage of fat wood is. Like if you scrape it, you can spark it easily, but also it lasts when it creates a flame.
It doesn't just immediately go away.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in this video, but those things tasted like stale cake, which is kind of selling it short because it did have.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, it tasted good even though it had the texture of stale cake.
Yeah.
Because stale cake is not good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
This guy named Nestor gave them to me. So these were.
Is that a viewer or a kung fu?
No, neither actually.
Just friend.
Acquaintance. Yeah.
Little jar.
Yeah.
These are just pre-packaged and shelf.
What were you about to say? Sorry.
So I was in Miami
Spread
for
this
a
on the zucchinis, and then I'm gonna
funeral.
season them with a
Not
seasoning
anyone I
based on
really
the-
knew, but
Some of our ingredients would need to be
he was
boiled
also
on the
there.
gas stove, and we had a convenient piece of kit for that.
So
But
That
I
was
was gonna
ghee?
say, what?
I said that was ghee.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's the stuff I started bringing because I was like, if I find mushrooms, I can use
The
those.
gas stove
But then there's that
Oh.
one episode in Manistee. I think I just forgot to bring them.
Meanwhile, we started roasting the zucchini
But these
from the
zucchinis
start
ended up
as we added some
not as
seasoning.
good as the ones we cooked in Mohican.
Chicken seasoning.
And in hindsight, I think we should have just added more salt.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Like I think that seasoning has a little bit of salt, but not enough to like really make the
No,
flavor.
the seasoning has no salt.
Oh, it doesn't have salt.
No.
Oh.
So that gas holder is from one of our viewers named Jared. I know we mentioned it was from a viewer, but I'm not sure if we said Jared. We probably did. But yeah, the funny part is he 3D printed those for us, but he 3D printed like 30 of them.
Oh wow.
So if we ever do a meetup, we should give some of those away.
Yeah.
You have like 30 of them? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Man,
We watched in anticipation.
cooking sausages on a fire. Do you know how much harder it is to cook a sausage on just a pan?
Yeah.
It sucks.
They like explode or they like pop open and
Do it.
they
It's
just
like-
burn on one side so
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
Sausage and zucchini was like one of the first campfire foods I ever ate. Like I would make kebabs with little slices of zucchini and sausage alternating.
Sausages went in the toasted buns.
So how did you
Added some shredded cheese on
what
top
were your
for the
thoughts,
flavor.
Robbie, when I
Finally,
broke out the
of course,
ingredients? Like what were you
cheese.
looking forward to it or were you just doubtful or what?
No,
I guess
no, I was
reason to be doubtful.
I was immediately excited, but the only buzzkill was the spaghetti and the chili.
Actually change it, though?
What?
Did that actually change anything for you?
Yeah.
So hopefully it's good.
Really? You could tell? I couldn't even tell there was spaghetti until you pointed it out.
Oh,
Like it just tasted like normal chili stuff to me.
that's funny. Usually I have the most unrefined palate as far as being able to tell the difference.
How did it change it though?
I don't know. It was too. I didn't like the texture of noodles on there, but it was fantastic.
Oh. I just remember them being so soft. I didn't even notice. Fun fact: I was looking stuff up about because this is like Cincinnati specific chili.
Yeah.
And apparently, originally it was like a Greek stew that they would put on top of noodles. And then some random customer came in and requested shredded cheese, and then it kind of evolved. They put some other ingredients in there, like beans and onions, to make it a little more familiar, and that's how it evolved into this like weird chili. But chili is like Mexican in origin, but this is actually Greek.
So I would never be able to find it, but there's two vlogs that relate to this episode. One is where I did a vlog where I traversed the entire Morgan Monroe loop. And then there was another one where Andrew, you and I were for some reason. Oh, it's like we did a video job with my brother in Cincinnati. And then afterwards we went downtown or like to University of Cincinnati, like really late at night. We were wandering the campus and then we ended up eating at Skyline Chili. You remember that?
This one is perfect.
Oh, yeah?
This is like some street food.
Talking to me
right here.
or Andrew?
I'm talking to Andrew, but I can't hear him now.
Oh.
His voice just died. I can see on the video he's trying to fix it though.
Yeah, that piece is good.
Still
Yeah,
not
it's
working.
Satisfying. Hot food is just a different level of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Hats off to the chefs. Good work.
I feel satiated.
Andrew, if you can still hear us, you can just use your MacBook's microphone. That's probably good enough.
When you kind of go overboard after camping, you're like, oh, I could eat a lot because I just hiked, but then you.
But anyways, that was something that actually happened,
Man,
and it's pretty funny. They
I've
have
eaten
like
at
these.
Skyline Chili once too.
They have bibs that you can use. And for some reason, I was wearing a bib, but I don't remember why. Oh, you can see my cat on that phone picture.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is that I remember that distinctly because I remember that was what convinced me that I didn't actually.
even see you. You're like in the darkness.
Hold on, you're breaking up a little bit. Say that again.
Andrew either, actually.
I was saying that's what convinced me I didn't like Skyline Chili
Oh,
because I was like, I'm drunk right now, and this should taste extra good, and it doesn't taste that good. Although I was drunk recently and I ate food, and I realized when you're drunk, food kind of has less taste. So maybe that was actually the factor. Yeah.
That is kind of true.
But it just didn't hit the way I thought it would. You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You said it didn't hit the way you thought it would.
Yeah.
Oh, you use the hiking pole to push up the middle of your tarp there.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say it looked like a golf club. Is this a new song, or was this the one from the end of the road trip at Tucumcari?
Yes. And a road trip. Yeah.
The second thing you said.
It sounded like you remembered it as you were saying it.
During the night, we awoke to calls of
It was like, is this a new song or is this the song that I very specifically remember exactly where it's from?
You know, this is an idea that I just suddenly had. Maybe we should do a weekend music writing workshop where we don't finish songs, but we try to come up with as many different ideas in a weekend as we can.
Yeah.
And like
That'd
lay
be
down
fun.
like the basics, like, because then we could record Bryan doing guitar and stuff. Then we could just have like 10 songs that have a skeleton, and then we can finish those later.
Yeah.
That was a good idea. This was, I think, me filming myself waking up, and it was kind of obvious, but
I don't remember that.
yeah. That was also me filming you guys from that same position under my tarp.
Oh man, I just love. Okay, so obviously we all love Big John, the big tent, but there's. I like seeing all the different shelters in the morning of a nice sunny morning.
Yeah. That is so nostalgic and quintessential Adventure Archive. Yeah, I do want to. There's two issues with this. One is we ended up doing it for breakfast instead. But two, those jellies, the ones I usually get come in a big can and they're not sweetened. But these ones are meant to be eaten straight up, so they were already sweetened. So it ended up making it much sweeter than I expected it to be.
Well, my question about these is, how much of these are you supposed to eat? Because eating one of those sport balls, one of those jellies, and one of those lychees, just any one of those by themselves, feels like a full meal.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because like when you combine them all, I was like, dude, this is. It's like eating like half a watermelon worth of sugar.
But this is kind of just a variation on.
I even had the packet for extra sweetness.
I mean, so for people who don't know, this is not like a specific dish, but there are so many different variations of similar dishes in like all sorts of different East and Southeast Asian cultures. The one I grew up eating at potlucks was called Xingren Tofu, and it's like this thing that looks like tofu, but it's like a jelly made of
almond jello.
Yeah. And then they would have like a fruit cocktail in it. And that one was like not that sweet. The way most Asian people like their desserts, it's not too sweet. But yeah, they'd have like fruit cocktail fruits and then some lychees in it. And they would usually put ice in it just to keep it cool. And that stuff was really good. But there's also like halo halo, and I think there's a Korean one called it's like been trending on the internet. But it's like watermelon and ice and stuff and like
basically just different types of fruit cocktails.
Yeah, like Asian style fruit cocktails. Hwachae. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's like the Korean variety. Something like this.
From having some sort of like sweet fruit salad or something in the morning.
Try a sport ball first.
Yeah.
The sports balls are good, but they are very sweet.
It's good.
Yeah.
My mind was tainted by you saying abnormal. When I got over it, I was like, lychee. Good as always.
The grass jelly's pretty subtle, but it's nice to accompany all the other stuff.
It's funny your hand was out there, like I just swiped the bowl.
I need to make sure to buy my own
Although I'm not
silicone bowl.
if it's the
Oh, yeah.
one in the morning.
Like I don't mind sharing
I do have a coffee.
plates and bowls,
think
but
coffee would actually
it's just so much easier when you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So, the proverbial question: how did you sleep?
I feel like
I got the best sleep I've ever had camping.
I said proverbial, but was the word I was looking for perennial?
Probably. I don't know.
I don't
Well,
think
proverbial
perennial
wouldn't make
sounds
sense
right.
though.
I'm gonna Google it.
Perennial, I think that
sweet breakfast.
makes sense,
Boiled
right?
some water to mellow things out with some coffee.
Perennial assumes a specific.
Perennial
like,
means over and over, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was looking for perennial. It's questions which deal with answers not easily found.
Perpetual. What about perpetual?
Yeah, perpetual works too. I think.
Perpetual, yeah. But the turn of phrase I was looking for was perennial. That's not actually a perennial question that I asked. But
Morning for some camping coffee.
Yeah, it may not be the
Yeah, I had never heard perennial used in that way. I suppose it could be, but I think Andrew's right. Like maybe he could say perpetually referring.
Perfectly quiet and peaceful.
Perpetual.
Nice blue sky.
That sounds more normal. Oh, I forgot I'm walking away from my microphone. That sounds more normal to me.
These commentaries are so funny.
It had been a while since we had such a peaceful
Is it February or February? What is this room?
or anything else.
Those shots earlier of the stuff dangling, I like shots like that because it gives you this feeling of just like having been settled into your camp and like
Eventually, it was time to
you've
head
got
out.
your stuff
We
set
made
up.
extra sure our fire pit was doused, freshened up, packed up our gear.
here's a
started
thought that I've been brewing lately.
Hmm.
Is all
In the wilderness, and
does it really all boil down to the feeling that you get? Like a lot of the entertainment that you watch?
tidying your gear to pack it all away.
Like, is it really just about feeling?
Fulfilling and satisfying.
Maybe.
Out here,
Like fundamentally,
we're on
because
all feel for constant
Go ahead.
validation or
I was gonna say, I mean, it
gratification.
probably just depends on if it's the kind of content that you can relate to in some way.
After packing up our
Because
gear, we made
I mean, like I can watch like a sitcom,
no trace.
but I don't really know what kind of feeling I would be
that's
relating
true.
to.
Well, I mean, there's certain ones that like King of the Hill gives you that, you know, like
It's just before noon.
comfort
Finally
food
getting out of
feeling.
camp, and Bryan
Mm.
just told me something.
But then like a Seinfeld, it's just watching it because it's funny. So
I was like, man, why am I hungry?
But that could give you a comfort.
yeah,
Well,
that's true. I guess if you watched it enough.
Actually, it's been like
quick note. We show those like shots of dousing the fire and leave no trace quite often.
we found our way
One,
back
just because it's kind of nice to see,
back
but
onto
also,
the trail.
I think in the past we've not filmed that, and we've gotten comments where people assumed we just like didn't do any of that.
This little area here. It looks like there
But-
might be a campsite right here.
It's also good to just encourage people to actually
Yeah.
abide by leave
This
no
is the
trace.
campsite that was just further ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, that
would have definitely
those-
seen two tree
I remember
trunks.
this being, yeah, I remember that being like really
Not that much better that I feel
kind of off the beaten path-ish. Not off the beaten path, but like it would have been really hard to see from the trail.
We continued on. Just off the trail was a mossy log covered in old violet-toothed polypores.
We started overlapping with the part of the trail we had hiked in the past. and came to
Don't
a
walk on the
familiar
laptop.
feeling area.
There we go.
actually looks like
Curious what lens we used to get those close-ups. I wonder if it was just that one that you're using.
I don't remember there being so many.
Yeah, it must have been.
brambles.
So that lens is
Must be the effect
the
of
Sigma 28 to 70 millimeter lens. And what's
Mhm.
really nice about it is that it's super small and lightweight, but it's kind of a crappy lens.
almost 10.
Uh,
Almost 10.
outside of that, the
hills look so
28
nice.
millimeters is not wide enough. And when you zoom in and do like really close shots like that, you can see all sorts of imperfections and like, I mean, the average person won't see it, but if you're interested in enough that you actually know what I'm talking about right now, I do not recommend that
Go
lens.
check it out and see if there's anything.
Now, was this the episode we brought the macro lens on?
Like maybe people go down these. and-
Because I
Oh, well,
like
so
it
we
might
bought
have been.
macro
Mostly curious
tubes,
if there's any
which are just
pictures
little
of
extenders you can
Right,
add
right.
to your
As I'm talking,
lens.
there's a fire around.
We might have. Yeah,
I
it
think
might
it
have been this
was,
episode.
yeah.
Kind of like a road where the
Yeah, so maybe it was that lens plus the macro tube.
Mhm.
I don't know.
So maybe at one point this did used to be.
But yeah, get the
Rangers.
Sony 20 to 70 millimeter. That's what we use now.
Yeah.
I cannot recommend that lens highly enough.
I love trips like this because you get to just wander around and go wherever your mind
Yeah,
piques its interest.
that was one of the things that appealed to me most when we first.
Yeah, this thing that we're talking about here, where you can just go wherever, do whatever,
Yeah.
spend as much time as whatever.
That's a big reason I wanted to come back here for so long, is because I remembered loving that off-trail portion. Even though we ended up not doing off-trail stuff here, it still had such a nice feeling.
Yeah.
We also saw a red-headed woodpecker in the trees above.
Man, that's so funny. Darkening the image helps so much to be able to see what you're talking about. Because I was like, where? And then as soon as the image darkened, I was like, oh.
One of the latest plants to keep its greenery through the winter. So it is one of the nice flashes of green you see in the forest, even though it's invasive. After a short jaunt, we returned to the main trail, and Robby had a proposal for us.
You guys want to have lunch over here?
Oh, yeah. So this is where we had lunch here, and then like 400 feet ahead, there was benches.
Right. Which is just
nice
like such a common thing with us.
Yeah.
Actually, I do feel hungry too. I love trips like this.
I can't remember what trip it was. Was it this one? No, it probably wasn't this one because I knew this trail well enough anyway. But there was some trip where I just did not look at the all trails because I wanted that feeling of discovery that we don't have anymore.
Yeah. I think Thomas was on that one.
Yeah, technology just has, it's so good now. Like when we started, we didn't have smartphones and we used paper maps.
Yeah.
Just hilarious to think about now. You can know precisely where you are to like the 1,000th of a GPS coordinate or whatever.
Bryan was saying that he had snacks if I needed it. I meant I had snacks at my house that you could pack if you needed it. Oh. I also figured that if I had to starve, I could starve. Actually, it's not bad too because the meals are making sure how easy the hike is.
In all seriousness, I was kind of in the mindset with this one that like I kind of want to not indulge too much in food. I wanted to be like when we were in the Smokies and we were down to 2. Yeah, I just said it right there. But like,
you wanted the hungry man dinner.
Yeah. Once in a while, it's fun to have that experience.
Of course.
Sounds like excuses to me.
You know what though? We should not let this go to waste. Let's have round 2 up here. Oh, 2 benches.
And I think you guys kind of took a little nap, and then I filmed some random crusty mushrooms.
You took a nap?
Or at least lied down. I don't know if anyone actually fell asleep. Yeah.
This white oak tree has a common symptom on its bark.
So whenever I film stuff like this in particular, I think of my dad because only my dad would be so fascinated by like these uncrustables, these little crusty fungi that like no one would have noticed otherwise. But I remember when I learned this, it was after I had done a tree identification thing at a park. I was like a volunteer ranger for like 2 weeks. And someone asked what that was, and I didn't know. And later I looked it up, and then I never forgot it after that.
So here's an example of a white oak that's almost completely over.
I might have forgotten the name, but I remembered that it was a fungus at least.
Actually, some of the fruiting bodies of the fungus, like right here and over here. They're really, really tiny, but if you look closely, you see them growing out of the bark.
I'm wondering if that was the macro extender.
Might have been, yeah.
You can see some of the buds just starting to come in. There's even some with some flowers starting to pop out. But this is a nice early sign of the coming spring, so it always gets me excited to see that. And of course, if you smell it, it's got a nice kind of fruity, vaguely herbal scent. So on the backdrop of all these brown leafless trees, this probably doesn't look like much, but this is actually a pawpaw tree, one of my favorite trees. And if you're lucky enough to see one, this is another good early sign of spring. If you look at the ends of the branches, you'll see
this is like
just starting to bud.
similar thing to when Robby does drone footage when we're doing other stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like when you guys are napping, I just go hog wild with the plant identification.
He's like, no one around to stop me now.
And of course, in the fall, pawpaws produce a delicious.
So how often do you Oh, there's a rainbow there. do you do like new study? You know what I mean? Like, how often do you study and like try to specifically find new plants?
If not often enough, but I actually was just starting to do that again, like recently.
Because I was just thinking about my Japanese skills.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, I haven't formally studied since 2008, and just like anything that you're learning, that first 80%, you can make a lot of progress really fast towards that first 80% of knowledge.
Yeah.
That last 20% is just requires so much dedication and intensive study to really get that last.
Yeah. Yeah, so many skills are like that. It's like you make such huge gains in knowledge at the beginning, and then you really have to like refine stuff, and that's what's really hard.
Yeah.
It's like
Repetition
80-20, but it's
thing
like a
too.
50-50 effort. Yeah.
What'd you say, Brian? I couldn't hear it.
Said repetition is a big thing too. Just
As we hiked, I saw some exciting signs of spring. So poking out of the leaf litter.
That's actually how I keep my stuff up, is I'll at least like go on a walk, and when I see a plant, I'll say it to myself, but I do want to start learning more than I have been.
And these plants are actually completely edible as well. There's a lot of different types of species within that spring beauty family, but yeah, they're edible, and one of my favorite things to do is just walk through the woods in the spring and pick up wild spring greens like that and eat them. So there's some other signs of spring just starting to pop out. One of those is the sounds of the birds. I always associate the sound with early spring, but there's this chirping in the distance that kind of goes like Peter, Peter, Peter. That's how.
Is that bird call as like
It's 3 consecutive
evocative
and that
to you guys as to me?
yeah.
It kind of
Okay.
acts like a gray cardinal if you actually see one, but it's called.
Is that an actual bird call, or did you overlay something there?
And the other call.
No, it's actually there.
had
Yeah.
this weird, like,
Hmm.
laughing sound.
Well, it was from a shot at least in this.
Yeah.
Called a nuthatch type of woodpecker. Typically climbs up and down trees, and I think it's one of the only birds in this area that will climb down a tree. Like
The nuthatch I remember specifically. Actually, both these I learned in an actual birding class, and that class always required you to be at some park or cemetery at like 8 a.m. And I would always stay up late in college, so I would just drive to the place and then fall asleep in my car. So at least that way, when I woke up, I didn't have to do that much.
Wait,
You sleep at the graveyard?
So most of
In
the
my car.
brambles we're seeing in
This isn't like the parking lot.
Andrew is that character from Ocarina of Time.
that often has thorns on it, but
Stomping.
Wait, so you'd stay up late and then you'd drive there at night and just sleep in your car
Yeah.
in the parking lot.
Mhm.
this one actually
Man,
has
that is a choice.
Well, it's
I
like
feel like the quality of
particular have been
sleep
hanging out here
and
for a while, so they're
your
a little bit old and desiccated.
I don't know, just would be
stay up
terrible,
late,
man.
and then
Let's see if this
I'd be like, well,
tastes
I've stayed up this late,
Sometimes
and it's gonna be way harder to wake up if I'm still here.
shriveled actually tastes good, 'cause all the
Whereas if I'm in the car, like with a blanket and a pillow, then I can like just sit up and then walk outside. It doesn't take as much effort.
That sounds like so terrible to me now at my age.
Oh yeah. I'm glad those days are behind me.
The thought of trying to stay up all night now sounds like an impossible, horrible task. Whereas back in like college, you just did it without even blinking an eye.
Yeah.
I
There's
actually-
like, oh, go ahead.
I only ever did one overnighter in college, or all
Oh,
nighter.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Playing outside, but the
I had
experience is
several.
different enough to still feel like a unique adventure that can offer a new.
But there was
outlook
one
on life.
specifically I remembered in a library, and I was just, ugh.
Actually, the only one I ever did was I was doing a After Effects class, and
Mhm.
the final project. For whatever reason, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I just never actually sat down and started doing it until the night before.
Hmm.
And I was just like, well, I'll just do it until I finish. My class was at like 8 in the morning, so
Further
Ah.
ahead, we came across a small campsite just off the trail.
something like that. I don't remember.
This feels like a place we would have stayed in a slightly alternate timeline, like after hiking in at night or something. I bet we can find a really good site tonight.
The path now led downhill, where I spotted more wild.
So that type of shot right there, that's just a steady cam shot, but what might not be immediately obvious is that I'm holding the camera like really high and then pointing it down.
Mhm.
It's not that special or anything, but just that's a little tidbit.
Spring is on its way, and in about a month, there's there's going to be lots of greenery growing in the woods.
Man, I love that time of year.
One of my favorite times of year.
No, I should say that.
Flatter hillside with a decent campsite.
This was a really nice campsite. I think we were even saying if we ever come back here, we have to stay here. Or that might have been a different one on a hill, but
I suppose we could have just stayed here.
Very nice.
That whole trail is quite easy, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
That little divot earlier, I don't know exactly what it was, but I do know in Ohio there's a place called Flint Ridge, and there's a lot of divots like that where Stone Age people would have harvested flint. In this case, I don't know that it's known for having flint or anything.
My guess is that that's where a tree used to be.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
Like less than a mile. Like 0.3 miles.
Just down the hill were some plants that caught my eye.
So one interesting thing about hiking in this weather is whenever you see a flash of green, it immediately stands out against the background. And there's a few green things popping up from the leaf litter here. This is something called Pennsylvania sedge. And you can see it's got these little grainy growths already.
So these are the plants that we saw on that one hillside the other day in this episode.
And you feel it between your fingers.
Oh, okay. The sedge that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
And then over here, a random little eastern white pine seedling growing. Down here, there's an unassuming leaf. On the back side, it's purple. On the front, it's kind of green with a bit of a mottled purple texture. And this is called the cranefly orchid. Even though it looks like nothing right now, it's actually a flower.
I do like pointing stuff like this out because I think it's a good reminder to like pay attention to these small details, especially when you're hiking in weather conditions like this, where it's like you kind of think there's not much to see, but there's actually a good amount of stuff happening.
But in the distance was a patch of pine trees.
We're about to enter this section full of pine woods. So that actually might be a good spot to look for a campsite because pine forests generally tend to be really nice and open.
Yeah, if we see something really nice, I wouldn't be opposed.
Brian, with those sunglasses, looks like he's straight out of a Chow Yun Fat movie.
Yeah.
Our uncle, I feel like he has called Brian Chow Yun Fat before.
He's called himself that too.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen the
might be what I'm
video?
thinking of.
There's a video of him playing guitar with sunglasses in Taiwan, and he looked very Chow Yun Fat-esque. Yeah, so this pine forest, I think the second campsite we had in Manistee, in our most recent Manistee episode, that's what I was hoping we would see here. Like just nice, clean, open floor, but alas.
So I think this is the hill where I first talked about the beech tree in that original episode, and thus birthed the catchphrase, "This is my favorite tree." One of my favorite trees. And I remember these pine trees. I think are.
Did we figure out if that is the actual tree?
We have
I'm pretty sure it is, but
little birch branch
I
here with
didn't.
some
I don't
mushrooms.
remember actually
These are hexagonal
going to
pored
check.
polypores.
So
Usually they don't look quite this vibrant and orange, but if you look at the underside of them, you'll see that the pores have these geometric hexagon shapes, hence the name.
did I talk about Scavenger's Reign and the commentary we did the other day?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It's this show on HBO where these people crash land on an alien world, but
We kept searching for a campsite.
the
but
weird plants and flora and fauna that they come up with is just so interesting. But then you look at our world, and if you had never seen the stuff that happens in our world, it would be just as weird. Like looking at those little funguses in the bottom of them, the like little holes and stuff.
There's a plant called the salt and pepper plant, but another name is the harbinger of spring. It's one of the first flowers to show up in the springtime. It's got these really subtle petals, but when you see that, that's the first sign that spring is about to be on its way.
As we continued,
That one I think I learned actually in a class.
from what I remember of this campsite, I like the other campsite better. But
And I think when I was filming that, you guys had actually walked up ahead, and that's why we're kind of separate. And there was like a shot of
Oh, yeah.
yeah. That happens sometimes. Like one of us will stay behind to film something.
Oh, here it is.
So in the distance, there's like this white sign. Yeah, you see that white sign. I'm pretty sure you see that in the next morning. Man, that's a nice campsite, dude.
This is our campsite? If it is, it's better than I remember.
I also don't know if we figured out if this was actually it, but I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't know.
I want to go up the hill and see just what it looks like. All right.
But like so much could have changed in those several years.
Most to the top of where we're going, and it's probably not even that much elevation. But I'm just really curious.
And then this song is from the original Morgan Monroe episode, and this is the off. No, not off trail. This is like when we're
It's
actually
called hiking
kind of,
beats.
yeah, and it's like we're hiking in the same area but going the opposite direction. And it was like a really sunny day.
It was a classic song.
Yeah. This was actually the first song we wrote. I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Or actually, you wrote it, really. But
yeah. I wrote it in the back of the Zumba studio. There was a piano back there, so.
And I had already edited the scene, and you actually wrote it. You basically scored it. To
Yeah.
the scene. Yeah.
We did. We basically have not done that since.
It's a cool idea, but it just doesn't really make
So
sense.
labor intensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad by any means.
Like these videos take long enough to make as it is.
Been on so far.
So I'm thinking, if we get to here, there might be something interesting here. It looks like it might flatten out and kind of have a nice view.
I guess I've done it in like very small sense where it's like, okay, I need like this certain part to be a little quieter at the beginning of a song, maybe. Like if I know I want to put a song somewhere.
Could be a space over there.
You also did it once with the pan. When we went to
Flattens out, but
Land Between the Lakes.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
led
yeah.
the song from the actual beating of the pan.
Right. And I guess if you count that, there was also the time where Bryan, so the aforementioned end of Road Trip at Tucum Carry, Bryan was
right,
actually
yeah.
playing a song there, but he hadn't fully thought it out. And then we took that and turned it into a song so it could transition smoothly.
Yeah.
We took our time strolling back to camp. Okay, so
Okay, yeah.
well, I guess we'll
But I was starting to wonder where the
talk about it in a sec, but
I am really curious where they went because I only expected
Robbie
them to
thought we
go
were
for,
like dead or
10
something.
minutes. It's been over 30 minutes. Should I be worried? Probably not.
we did.
This
We
is
kind
very
of
safe forest with two people who have hiked for years now. Probably dead. No, but
I don't think it's better than
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
have, but
Go ahead.
so the funny thing was that on this little walk me and Andrew took, we literally were talking about the fact that we had only brought 2 potatoes
there's like a
and
little
how
road here.
we would probably get hungry.
Right. That's the thing. We didn't film that, but that was like the extra
Yeah.
layer of irony that made it even more crazy.
What the heck? Should we just take it?
And and Bryan found that because I was literally saying like, "Oh man, I'm kind of hungry. I hope 2 potatoes is enough."
Yeah.
And then we got comments from like on YouTube, on Patreon, from our own crew member Thomas.
Okay, well, like, how many comments were there? I knew there was one comment that said
Yeah,
they
it-
didn't believe the potato, but did other people not believe it either?
there maybe weren't that many actually. But I think the fact that it was someone on Patreon, I was like, we wouldn't lie about that. Come on.
Well, the funny part is like, who would even think of lying about that?
Right. Because the comment was like the potato thing. Sorry, I don't believe it, or something like that. And it's like, yeah, like how could I have come up with something like that? Like, because
It's like of all of the things you wanna lie about
yeah.
or make up, it's just like why that?
yeah, like it's not that crazy of a
Yeah.
thing to lie about. It's just circumstances made it really crazy.
What I really wonder though is like how long that potato was there, because that was a very fresh,
Yeah.
clean
I mean,
potato.
potatoes do last, and it was cold out, but so that kind of makes the mystery even more.
But even then, if I don't know.
Almost guaranteed though that like someone was camping there and like didn't want to carry it out, or maybe they just put it there and forgot about it. But
They put it there and then they forgot. They got mixed up among the rocks. And they
yeah.
forgot about it.
Well, I also wonder if they were the same ones who lined up the rocks, and if they like meant for the potato to be lined up there.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But Thomas was even like, I know you guys didn't lie about it, but if I didn't know better, I would have thought that. I was like, no, like we don't do stuff like that. But like, I think it was in Japan. We were like hanging out with some people. It might have just been like me, Thomas, and Daryl. But Thomas was like, well, the guys embellish stuff sometimes. I'm like, no, we don't.
We
Like,
don't. That.
yeah.
Why would Thomas say that? Like,
because he embellishes stuff and he just assumes we do.
Oh, okay.
Like on cam. Well, his point was also like sometimes we sound a little different if we're talking for the camera versus. But that's just like a subconscious thing. It's not like we're embellishing any reality. It's just like how we present.
Yeah.
That's everybody in the history of cameras and talking in front of the camera.
Yeah. But like just to set the record straight, we do not lie or embellish about anything.
Like,
I think if you just watch that scene where we were talking about when we found that potato, like, there's no way you could really fake that kind of enthusiasm and discussion about finding a potato.
Yeah.
Unless it
would have been really
happened.
obvious. We're bad actors.
Yeah.
Like, we're like pathologically towards the other end where we have to show like exactly what really happened.
Yeah. Exactly.
And for Thomas, this Benedict Arnold to tell people that we embellish things, unbelievable. I'm gonna put him to task on the next commentary that he's on.
I can't wait for that. That's great. No, it's funny. So it's funny because even when we were early on, I think Thomas had just started working at like Warner Brothers and was very much in that like television producer mindset. And he was even like, "Oh, you guys should like dramatize things a bit, like play things up." And we're like, "No." Like,
you know what's especially funny is that back in 2013, 2014 when we started, the slow YouTube video wasn't really like a thing. Like people didn't realize that you could just have a video of somebody walking around the streets of Tokyo for 2 hours. That would be a really successful YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So people were constantly telling us like you can't make hour-long YouTube videos. And back then they were only an hour. And
they were only 40 minutes. Yeah.
You're like, you need more conflict and stuff like that. And like now, we just stuck with it because this is like, it wasn't like so much that we believed in. I mean, I guess it was too, but we just really liked what we were making. We're like, well, I don't know if this is going to work or not. But now we look like prescient like prophets or something.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, we could have leaned more into the boring bits of Adventure Archives and maybe been more successful.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess I didn't know if it would be successful, but I always knew there would be someone out there who enjoyed it because I was like, this is exactly what I want.
Yes, yeah.
It's just being like a video that makes you feel like you're there, including all the mundane collecting dust on a piece of bark.
That looks pretty satisfying. All that.
Yeah, you get it. Oh, you're talking about the wood, not the bark, but yeah, that also is.
Well, I mean, I see. I can totally understand why the bark is.
Yeah.
Satisfying, but all the wood just like piled there on the little sitting mat was a nice, satisfying image.
Yeah. I don't know how, but that piece of wood was actually across the trail, so I was like, I'll guilt-free chop this up. Not that I would have had guilt anyway.
Now it was time to prepare our fire. I first set up a fire lay.
Benedict Arnold.
Then I fluffed up the pine bark powder a little bit.
I also didn't mention those sycamore seeds are really fluffy, but it was mixed in with everything. I don't know for sure how much those contributed.
Next,
but yeah, I like all those bark processing shots.
You know, I was driving home the other day, and I was listening, I think just like yesterday actually, listening to a podcast, and they were talking about kids. Yeah, and they were saying like, oh yeah, just some 6-year-old coming up to you and then just making stuff up and like, oh, I do this or blah, blah, blah. And to my knowledge, I don't remember ever doing that as a kid. Like just making things up. Like I do remember lying about things that I would get in trouble for.
Yeah.
But just like making something up to make it sound like I'm doing something cooler than I actually did.
Same actually, yeah.
I don't remember ever doing that.
I think the goal is to get a nice bed of embers going that we can cook the potatoes in.
At least I'm pretty sure I didn't do that.
I mean, but I was also a dumb kid like anybody else, so
yeah,
certainly plausible.
I helped Andrew set up his tarp while we waited for the fire to
look at that.
Some good
nice campsite. It's just like just wide enough for that tarp.
Sit back and enjoy the warmth of the fire.
That was such a nice campsite. I love that all our shelters are like right next to each other. I like that shot.
Yeah, that's a good shot. That's like the kind of shot if you want to convey to someone like what does it feel like when you're camping with friends, like that.
Yeah,
shot right there.
yeah. And that actually is kind of a callback to the original episode because we had one of those long distance shots of us just standing around the fire. So we wanted to get. Oh, and also that little voice clip is from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Andrew's like creating ASMR kung fu music.
Yeah, yeah.
We use the grill to be safe and prevent the potatoes from charring.
It kind of doesn't fit because it's like a romantic scene, but
More uniform heat inside.
I mean, we're romancing those potatoes.
To the potatoes, making sure they didn't burn. and enjoy
Ah,
some
man.
coffee days.
How often do you get to go to a campsite and actually take a nap before dinner?
Man, yeah. Why that plane?
I don't think I remember you guys napped. That's funny.
Yeah, I slept while the potatoes were cooking. You can see me
Oh,
rolling
yeah,
around
yeah.
in the sleeping bag or in the hammock.
Brian became a potato too.
First started camping, I would count every single trip I had and journal every single trip because it was so special. Not that they aren't special now, but it's amazing to see how far you can come in a decade's time. Yeah. I really liked this trip because it's reminded me of.
I think
Probably
it's
sounds enthused by the conversation.
We got into backpack.
This trip has really reminded me of what
I was gonna say in the bloopers. I think we initially sat down. And Rob was like, "Do you have anything insightful to say?"
Because you're doing something and then you're doing something else.
And just to be clear, sometimes
Around or wander off the trail and
like that's not us trying to force a conversation. It's just sometimes we need to get warmed up and think of something. But sometimes what'll happen is we'll film us talking, and then we'll turn the camera off, and then we'll have a much like
Much
better
better
conversation.
conversation.
and we're like, "Oh, we got to get the camera back."
just existing
This is like the opposite of embellishing right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Yeah, it's like a
it's truth in, or it's a falsity in the other direction. It's debellishing.
Eventually.
Well, that's the thing
Unembellished.
about if you're making something for other people to watch, right? And you're basically filming your experience. It's always going to be colored somewhat by the fact that you're observing it and filming it while you're doing it. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. Now I was surprised Brian's potato was still a little tough because I figured if you could cut it with that spoon handle, it had to be pretty tender.
Yeah, those look really perfectly done.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it was totally like acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like maybe it could have had like an extra minute or two, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like didn't ruin it.
Oh, one thing is I also was looking for some more wild chives because that would have been perfect, but this area just didn't have any growing.
Thank you, mysterious person who left us a third potato. It's so perfect that we found a third potato because it would have been so awkward with two potatoes.
That was Wisconsin cheddar. Was that Wisconsin cheddar or something?
We usually get fuller.
Something like that, or it was like apple gouda. Apple gouda.
Whatever it was pretty good.
Yeah.
beyond belief.
I was going to guess Havarti.
I think it was apple gouda.
Actually, that gives me an idea. I'm gonna kind of mash mine up.
Oh, man.
Oh man, it's gonna be Thanksgiving soon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, that was fantastic. That's cooked pretty well, I would say.
Yeah. Wow. Once again, I'm eating better on the trail than I am at home.
It's funny, I haven't eaten a baked potato.
Bacon
You know-
bits, yeah.
The other thing is I was a little worried that
They're so good and so easy.
like
too.
potato and then bread, it would just be too many like carbs and not feel that like fulfilling.
Definitely worth
But man, that meal was
I was
it's really
a little
good.
worried it wouldn't feel that substantive 'cause there's
Oh,
so
I
much
just said it right there,
stuff
I
on
guess.
it, but yeah.
Do we have
Yeah.
bread or something?
Yeah.
He made the manto.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You saw my
Although I do remember feeling hungry shortly after, like before.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like hungry, but
Yeah.
Must have been something good. at home.
We had only had the two potatoes, that would have been upsetting.
So glad we had- Can you imagine?
It's funny. It's like think of the chances
We're like, "No, let's-
of, for some reason, me being in the supermarket and deciding I only needed two, and then some camper right before us left that at that campsite.
I still don't understand what went through your brain to think that you
I don't-
should
yeah.
eat two potatoes.
I was like, oh, they're heavy. We usually aren't that hungry. It's gonna be an easy trip. That was my mindset. So,
Wow, that fire is so cool looking.
yeah.
The fire was burning bright again, so it was time to prepare the next dish. I filled this pot up with some water. We've got our dough in here, which has been resting for a few hours.
This was the most successful steamed bun we've ever done. I think we've only done it twice, but
It's definitely expanded a little bit. I don't know.
I wonder if the letting it sit and expand helped.
oh yeah, definitely. I think so.
And we're just gonna have one big steamed bun.
Because
Basically, I'm gonna put the bowl into this.
I've noticed that when I've left dough in the fridge overnight to expand, it gets really fluffy. So that was like literally the first thing I did when I got to camp, and then everything else was after that.
That's a grill that you brought, right? That wasn't just there.
Yeah, that's my portable grill. That thing's great.
So this was when we took the thumbnail picture, I believe.
Oh yeah.
It's not that we actually took a photo,
Yeah.
but
The photo's in focus, but that one, the sky is in focus.
We added some rocks to our makeshift steaming pot.
Yeah, this was a good idea. I actually had the thought to do the rocks first, but for some reason I was like, it'll be fine. But I didn't anticipate how much it would float, or how much the water might rise up. So Bryan was like, let's just use the rocks.
The night passed by.
It feels like something that
Now it was time to dig in.
like an old village back in the day would do, you know.
Yeah.
It didn't turn out
I mean,
so
they
well
probably
because
did do something
the
like
dough just
that.
had no
Yeah.
time to rise, but this is, I mean, that smells like.
Oh, you just said that the dough had no time to rise.
Well, I was worried it didn't have enough, but
Oh,
Scoop it out.
because when I let it sit overnight, it like expands a ton.
That's good.
Mhm.
But
And if you've never had a steamed bun,
But it
Oh,
turned out really
pretty much
well.
How it looks, it's just like a.
you should have taken maybe a slight bit of ghee and like
Oh.
oiled the bowl.
Oh, you know what? I think I didn't have any ghee left because I used
Oh.
one for
I figured it'd just be
the zucchinis and one for the potatoes.
Yeah, this is nice
Oh,
and
okay.
fluffy.
Yeah.
So the yeast
That would've been
takes
great,
some
though.
time to rise. Now I'm gonna spread this jam on here.
I had never heard of this ube jam until this trip, and then for some reason I started seeing it like on social
Yeah.
media. And
Kind of a
It's a really popular flavor these days. I forget.
I mean,
I think the first time I had it was the ube ice cream, but it tastes a lot like taro.
Texture is perfect. Yeah.
And it's
that particular
Taste has a really
spread was very sweet, so I
Yeah.
think the sweet overpowered the ube flavor. But
Mm.
I mean, it was good with the
The
steamed
bread.
bread.
Yeah.
Oh, that cooked really well.
We talked about this in the episode, but I want to do this steamed bun again and like do it with some savory stuff. It'd be so good.
I mean, bringing stuff that goes with Montwo is very easy, and it's
Yeah.
usually very lightweight stuff. Like we've talked about pork wool back in the early days of Adventure Archives.
Yeah.
Deem it a success.
Bread goes with everything, pretty much.
Man, I might have to do this more often.
Like next time we can step it up even a notch higher. Do like a stir fry. with Multiple fires going.
Could even do like a
Stations.
flavored manto or something.
So good.
We could do like you could step it up and try to make like the
The huajin.
yeah,
Yeah.
not
that'd-
necessarily Huajin, but
yeah,
oh wait, no, yeah, Huajin I think is
It
what
was
it
time to
is.
head to bed.
the green onion
It's
one.
been an incredibly
Yeah.
relaxing trip.
okay.
Although
Well,
was our last
this just
trip,
reminded me
we
that
couldn't help but wish we could
the
spend an
first
extra
night-
out.
we definitely did not put the wolves or whatever in the episode.
No, I think it
No,
had,
you did. I heard
Yeah.
it
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The moon and the
Never
because
sun
Andrew. There's a shot of
we
Andrew's
slowly drifted
just
off.
the
Yeah,
bottom of
I
Andrew's
heard
part,
it.
and you hear the noises. So I think
Oh.
Andrew's just sitting there recording it.
yeah.
The next morning was grayer, and at first felt chillier. The others were still fast asleep when I awoke.
Real snoring. That is a cozy campsite.
Oh,
Eventually,
right.
we all
I was like,
woke up.
what's that Amazon
Robby had a
box? I was
special
like,
breakfast
I
for us.
remember.
I've got oat milk, got the Cheerios, cinnamon toast crunch, Lucky Charms, honey nut Cheerios. It says to shake it like you.
Oh
What's
man,
I think that was another reason that we did the jellies for the breakfast, because like the dinner last night was so intricate and needed the pot. So
wait. So the oat milk, you don't have to refrigerate it until you actually open it, right?
yeah,
Okay. So then, yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's
That's
some
right
that
there.
are sold in the refrigeration section and some that are on the shelf.
Yeah.
It must be.
But I
some-
mean, if you really did want like cereal with milk, you could get those the smaller like single serve containers.
yeah.
That's a pretty good idea.
The Dallas multi-pack. What are you talking about there?
Dallas multi-pack?
Well, multi-pass I know, but what was he talking about with the multi-pack?
Multi-pack of like different cereals.
Oh.
Yeah, he just joking.
Why haven't we gotten hammocks? He has to do 3 hammocks stacked on top of each other.
Cereal is such an easy thing to do backpacking, and it's so rewarding.
Woke up. It was like 7 a.m. and he had already had like all the tents packed and everything. I'm like, oh god, Tom's gonna make us leave early.
Wait, was I talking about a dream?
I don't know. You're talking about Thomas, but
Yeah.
Wow, cereal is
It might have been a dream.
Yeah, it must have been a dream I had.
It's hard to beat cereal, man. God, really hitting the spot. It's just that perfect combination of
I don't understand how people don't eat an entire box of cereal in one go. Like, I mean, I understand that.
Oh, you have self-control.
wait, you mean like in one day or what?
Yeah, like I mean, I can do that, but the temptation
Well,
is.
When it comes to cereal, it's like I'll have a bowl of cereal, but clearly it's probably 1.5 times the size of an actual recommended serving, and then one bowl isn't enough, so then you have to have another bowl.
Yeah,
That's like half the box.
yeah. The cereal it's also the perfect like addictive formula because you eat it, then you drink that milk, and you're like, oh yeah, that quenched my thirst, but I'm hungry again.
Cereal is just. I wish it were good for you because it is by far my favorite food.
Sometimes I think I want to go visit Indiana. Weird.
So, I watched King of the Hill back when it aired, and I watched it pretty frequently. But I hadn't like watched the whole series from start to finish, and then I finally did that like sometime before this trip, like maybe a year or two.
Yeah.
And
We were all watching King of the Hill in that time for some reason.
when I saw that scene, I just like started dying laughing. I was like, Indiana is the type of place Hank Hill would just go on vacation for some reason. And being somebody from Indiana, it's like
Indiana is the perfect like obscure, mundane sounding state. Like Kansas is too obvious.
yeah.
And I've also heard Kansas City is cool. I feel like Columbus somehow is cooler than Indianapolis.
Oh, it's so much cool. Indianapolis and Indiana in general is just like remarkable for its unremarkableness. Like it is the #1 most unremarkable place in the country. Like it's got everything you could need, but it also has nothing that you could want.
that really highlight the change in the seasons. Over here is an old hydrangea plant of some sort, and you can see it's got this umbel of dried little seeds.
It's like the city equivalent of
flowers still left on it.
nutrition mush. Flavorless nutrition mush.
That's what I kind of love being from here, in the sense that I can talk trash about this place all I want. Like if anybody tries to like question my credentials for talking trash about Indianapolis, I'd be like, nope. Nope. Lived here my whole life. I've also lived all over the world, and let me tell you.
There's a small Ohio town called Circleville that's like 40 minutes south of Columbus, and they have a pumpkin fest, kind of like the Evansville Fall Fest every year. And I went to that, and they had a bar that was really cool. And I was like, this is cooler than almost every bar in Columbus. I was like, why is this small town have a cooler bar than a city with like 800,000
You know what?
people?
I think maybe part of it is like I could just be talking out of my butt here, but for a bar to be cool, it also has to be successful. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the case that the person who would open a cool bar is also somebody who knows how to run a business.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of like cool spots, but they're new and swanky and not like the kind of divey vibe that bar was. Anyway.
These people were really, really cool and really nice.
Yeah. They kind of like walked up on the trail and we said hi to them in the morning.
I like I says thank you at the end too. Thank you for this opportunity.
2 to 2.5 hours to get ready in the morning.
Man, yeah,
It is
took
cool.
a long time to get ready.
Now,
Yeah.
continued on the path ahead.
Yeah, so that's actually the path ahead. The drone shots kind of show.
But yeah, it's cool meeting other backpackers, especially like people who are older, but still going at it. You know.
Is this song? Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say we didn't show the white sign after all.
Oh.
There was a big sign there. I can't remember what's on it, but anyway, what about the song?
Is this song from a different episode, or was it new for this one?
This was originally in the Dolly Saws with a dog on the final day when we were walking out. It sounds a lot like Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
And in the interest of not getting back too late.
That wasn't on purpose, but as I was writing it, just the melody started to turn into that.
I think this was maybe the hardest part of the trail. Not that it was hard, but there was more uphill, and
We made our way out of the lowlands.
it was actually a decent amount of hiking that we did.
Yeah, this is the actual real uphill. It's quite a change from our leisurely.
Because there's also the part that
I think including this one.
I almost forgot about that we go visit.
I figured we were due for it eventually because the last time we came here, we started on a really big uphill. I remember struggling.
Here's another sign of new growth. There's a sprouting acorn here. And this top part will root, and this part will become the leaves and stuff.
So they can just start sprouting even if they're not in the ground?
Yeah, I've seen that a lot actually. I think eventually they dig their way in. But it makes sense if you think of it, because they just land on the ground and bounce around.
Before too long, we had made our way past where Bryan and Andrew had explored yesterday. The combined heat of the sun and the uphill hike quickly warmed us up. As we continued hiking, we came to a wide open hilltop campsite.
This is a sprawling campsite.
Next time we come back.
Man, there's a lot that happens on this last day that I forgot about.
This one and that one.
Yeah, I was just remembering the stuff that we did too.
Those are cool trees.
I was about to say, is that like 3 trees in one?
Yeah, that's something cool you see in landscapes like this. And I don't know if it's just old growth trees or sometimes it's like trees from old farmland. Like there's a park near us that has stuff like that. But you'll just see these really big trees interspersed with the rest of the forest.
And on the next hilltop, we found yet another amazing campsite.
There's definitely no shortage.
Oh man, there are a lot of good campsites up here.
Yeah. Those would have been really cool to camp on, but I still think that the one we were at.
I mean, ours was really good.
Yeah.
Honestly,
right by the water.
The one we were at had more trees to work with in terms of our setup.
Yeah, that's true.
The violet color has kind of faded from the tops of them, but if you look underneath, you can see that the surface is kind of toothy instead of just being a poor surface. So, yeah, and they're all over this tree. And then over here is a maple tree. It doesn't quite look like it because sometimes the bark on these trees can vary, but if you look up there, you can again see the branches oppositely branching. And this is actually the time of year where people start tapping maple trees for sap to make syrup.
Oh, yeah. There's a loud crash.
The tree just fell.
I don't think we've ever
This is
actually
the time of year
gotten
where people
that
start
on
tapping
camera.
maple trees for
Yeah, I don't
sap,
know.
and they boil that down
Maybe
to syrup.
I'm the
But
closest we've
curious
gotten
if
to
there's gonna
actually.
be a lot of
I mean,
output.
I saw it, but
Usually having really cold winters is a good
I saw a
sign
tree
that you have a lot
actually
of
fall
sap
down
It's
before.
the freezing of the sap in
On an episode?
and then the thawing that makes
Yeah,
it was
Smokies.
the Smokies. I just didn't film it.
Oh, right.
But it happened.
Shagbark hickory, which has
The
this
split
very
up one,
shaggy
right?
bark, and
Yeah.
hickory nuts will occasionally fall from trees
And
like
man,
this.
that is a
You get chance
crazy
to
thing.
crack
Like
them open and
when
get
just
some
now when we
gas
heard a
and
tree fall,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty loud from a
Now we
distance.
headed
But
down.
when you're right next to
The
it,
trail again
it
brought us
is
to lower elevations and near
an
water.
experience.
Just
That
enter
is really
this
crazy.
Lower swampy area, and you can actually hear some frogs.
Man, I love that time of year when the frogs start.
Oh man, those
Oh, yeah.
peepers,
Actually, those are
boy.
American chorus frogs.
Those Dr. Peepers.
Upward, birdly sound.
Ryan looks like a ex-Yakuza member.
Yeah.
Sunglasses. Are those transition glasses? They are.
No,
Oh,
I just
no.
have separate prescription sunglasses.
Oh.
Along the way, Andrew
I like how
spotted
that
an
woman was just coming from
Going down here
nowhere.
is another edible
Like that was not a trail. She was just like marching down the riverside.
I forgot about that, yeah.
And if you eat it, it'll have a nice kind of peppery taste to it. Another beautiful spring wildflower coming up.
Oh, do you remember this? Yeah, this is definitely familiar. There's a little footbridge and then a regular bridge, and then the parking lot.
Yeah, those gimbals are just
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
Wasn't there also like a random campsite right there somewhere?
Yeah. Just like right after
Right
the
at the
parking
beginning.
lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I remember we were talking about like who would just walk in 30 feet to camp here.
It's like actually, we probably would do that more than anything. Like get here late at night. I actually don't think that's a bad idea to have campsites like that for like really late night hikers.
Dude, so there is this truck that is parked in my neighborhood on the street, and it's like from the early 90s or maybe late 90s, and it's a small truck. Like they don't make them anymore apparently because like some emissions laws like totally screwed it up. But it's like the size of a regular car, but it's a truck. And I was looking at that and I was like, man, I would love to have like a truck like that. Where it's just got like a big bed in the back so you can move stuff, but it's not so big that it's unwieldy.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just saw those pickup trucks and I was thinking about that.
Took a very big truck to Grayson Highlands. It was actually like roomy in the back row of seats, but
How was your pant pulled up?
My what?
Andrew, how's your pant leg pulled up?
Oh, I don't know.
More surface area for the ticks to grab onto.
Maybe I was just warm, but I don't know why I only did one leg.
Man.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this is like.
I don't know what's worse, leeches or ticks.
I still think ticks are worse.
Yeah, ticks have disease. I feel like the leeches don't have disease. So.
Yeah, I mean they probably have some, but
yeah.
But you can at least see them grabbing you pretty
Some
clearly.
heretofore unknown disease.
It's like a tick can go unnoticed for so long, but a leech,
That's true.
not too long.
Man, when that guy first pointed out the leech on Andrew's ankle, I was just like, oh, there's leeches?
Yeah. I like almost did a double take. I was like, what?
There's actually walls and stuff.
Yeah, so that was from our Japan trip, which is not out yet.
Yeah.
But you shall see it soon. Ish.
So that building had walls when you were here. Was it just like plywood, or did it look actually like what kind of? That's such a weird size of a structure. You know, the only thing I could think is maybe it's an Airbnb, or it was supposed to be. Like little.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a little woods cabin. Somebody probably owns that plot of land and just tried to make something and gave up.
It definitely looks like those little minimalist cabins that would be rented out by either a park or a person.
Right.
Be like, oh, rent this cabin for a night and enjoy the wilderness.
Because besides that, it's just such a weird size.
Yeah, I can see it right there.
It's the 2 seconds of off-trail hiking we did.
Back on the trail, we entered the Sweetie Hollow
Sweetie Hollow. Not so fast, sweetie toad. Total little non sequitur, but it occurred to me when the Sweeney Todd movie came out, it finally occurred to me what he meant when he called him Sweeney Toad.
Yeah, I did not know that until then.
Plus, we've already hiked more today than we did all.
Did you know about the existence of Sweeney Todd back then?
No, I don't even know what that is now.
There's like some show. Actually, was that Jim Carrey who played Sweeney Todd? No, was
Johnny Depp?
Pirates of the Caribbean guy, Johnny Depp, yeah. But yeah, Sweeney Todd is like a barber who like murdered people, I guess.
Yeah, and bakes them into pies.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
It's a weird, weird musical.
I call him Sweeney Todd, but changed Todd to Toad too. So
weird.
This is a good example. It's like if you were in a more super scenic location, you might not pay attention to a fallen tree. But it's nice to sometimes like fixate on those smaller things. And
that root structure just is massive.
Yeah. And that's only part of it, really.
Oh yeah, this was a cool area.
Oh man, I forgot about this part too.
Yeah.
Part I suddenly remembered was when we were taking that trail to the little structure that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Continued hiking and took a closer look.
Sweeney Toad.
It's really nice that this was here because this was such a cool area that we never saw before.
Yeah, I love when trails do cool stuff like this.
Yeah.
Also, who would have thought that this place would still have surprises left?
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to put it.
It's so cool because you can see how the erosion has just carved it into this concave shape.
Yeah, you can just picture the rushing water coming in here and just hitting that wall and then flowing down into this.
And you can kind of actually see where pieces of
That's another thing places like this make me think of is like there's probably so many areas that either have or used to have little hidden gems like this, just littered across the foothills of like the eastern U.S., let alone across the world. We all know about the big national park areas and the UNESCO World Heritage. There's these little.
Actually, that's kind of what I just said too.
Oh, really?
Talking about how like finding a little hidden secret.
Yeah.
I always think it's amazing how
I might be.
Like this is just hidden.
Yeah, I'm literally about to say the same. That's the problem with these commentaries is we don't have any new thoughts.
Well, it kind of just shows you how pre-programmed we are as humans. Like, you just see the same stimulus, you're going to say the same stuff.
It also shows we do not embellish. This is our.
Man, as people who have just gone to so many different locations like this, like, I mean, more than the average person, we've seen a lot of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone to all the big parks. We have now been to multiple UNESCO World Heritage sites, and I'm telling you right now, you don't need to go to the biggest of the best places to have the best time.
Yeah.
Like, they're cool peak experiences, but going to a place like this is absolutely worth your time. Just as much as going to a glacier. Or
like
wherever.
you will still have really deep, fulfilling, like emotional moments, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not proportional to how much it takes to get to some of these other really cool areas. It's worth doing those too, but you don't need to to still have a really incredible time.
Yeah.
I thought about that a lot too, actually.
It kind of reminds me of Jim Carrey. He's talked before, like, where he tells people, it's like, I wish you could have the fame and fortune that I have and see that it really does not fulfill you. Like, you can have, like, this big goal of, like, oh, I want to go to this place or whatever. But the moments are so fleeting that that accomplishment of having gone to one of those places, that's going to do nothing for you. The thing that's going to do something for you is the experience you have there and the memories you have.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is even when you're in those places, like in Hong Kong, what I remember is just eating a meal with people. It's like the same way I would remember eating a meal here. It's it's different and cool, but it's like it's those same fundamental aspects that make it special.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've never had ending narration on a commentary before. Oh, also, really quick, we ended it there with you guys resting.
Thank you so much for watching our videos.
And we still had more of the trail to hike, but I think at that point we're like, let's just end the episode here.
Well, that ending is kind of like a parallel to what Robby was kind of saying, because when we usually go to more like extravagant places, we try to get endings slow-mo with like us walking and standing in some epic pose with an epic view, but that one was just us sitting on a log and just enjoying company, and kind of like
it's a perfect kind of
it's a perfect
encapsulation
description
of trip.
Encapsulation.
The one thing that made me sad is this clay is actually really cool, but it's in the bunch of clay. But I mean, it's people.
What did you say? Hold on, you broke up a little bit.
Oh, I was saying the clay is really cool, so I'm a little sad it's in the post credits, but that's just how it had to be. And it's not like anyone clicks off immediately, or maybe some people do. But
yeah, I wonder about that, because the post credits or the post thank you for watching they're usually quite long.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine people are not watching this part, but maybe some people do.
Is this also the first episode we put the little subscribe thing in?
Yes,
I saw that earlier.
So.
And did we do that in between the days, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because I totally did not know.
Do we still do that?
Yes. We might have forgotten on a previous episode, but at the very last minute, I remembered to do it for Manistee boating.
I was worried the post-hike meal wasn't going to be satisfying.
But I don't know if I put it at the end. I definitely did not put it at the end, in fact.
We're here. Okay.
But I'm not sure I put it in between every day sequence. I probably did. I don't know.
Bike trail. It'd be easier. Okay. Yeah.
Go subscribe if you're not.
If you're a patron, but for some reason
Somehow
not
haven't
subscribed.
It's not that much different, but so much easier.
I think it's like the lack of any sponginess.
Gray
Orion
voice.
Thrower.
Gray voice is like Gray Fox.
Gray Fox.
Doing Gray
Hidden
Fox's voice.
Thumwall.
There we are. To the
Roten.
left.
Chiller. I should
And
chill you
Tunitake.
guys.
Oh yeah.
Peace S and Kevin T. I don't know what that is.
Oh, this song.
Big Tiger.
Oh yeah,
More interesting local places.
this was the original credit song for our Morgan Monroe, the
Yeah.
second episode we ever did.
Oh, it's close. Never mind.
Ryan Melcher. That name sounds really
So
familiar.
this song is
Is-
a direct,
No.
yeah, almost plagiarism of the Crystal Chronicles song.
It's Patreon only, so we can say it here. We can admit it. It did turn out really well, though, to be fair. And it is.
Yeah.
But no, this is like the legally allowed version of that.
Yeah, it's like the.
Well, yeah.
minimal
I've seen
amount of-
streamers who are like playing a relaxing game, and they have like Animal Crossing music. Well, it sounds exactly like Animal Crossing music, but it's just different enough that
Yeah.
it won't get copyrighted.
And
this is the
all
same
real,
thing.
all real instruments except the flute. Well, like,
Yeah,
the
this
guitar-
is all live recording. That
Oh
was-
wow, yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, this place. This place has.
Oh, this song is a very good post-check meal song because I used this on the Manistee one video that I did with Nicole.
Oh yeah,
Once and for all.
it's got that nice levity sound.
Oh,
This is where I got half a chicken.
This place has the big cups too, the big blue cups.
Are they as big?
Yeah. We were in the one we just did for Seneca.
Yeah,
it was like the
yeah.
exact same cup.
Andrew got a whole half chicken,
Yeah.
and I know saying whole half chicken sounds weird, but wow, look at that.
Yeah.
So we talked about
Good.
settling the brisket versus rib debate, but this was not the best place because
No,
meat was a
yeah.
little
Yeah, their
dry.
rib
Yeah.
was very subpar. I was very disappointed.
If you're
Actually,
using
I just
the-
didn't want to show it too much on camera.
Yeah.
What?
If you're using the full
We went to Big Ben.
10 out of 10 scale for reviewing stuff, this restaurant was a solid 4 to 5.
food-wise,
Food-wise, yeah.
yeah. I think overall experience, I give it like a 7 or 6.
Yeah, it was maybe 6 or 7 experience, yeah.
It's good, don't get me wrong.
Like, the chicken I remember being good though.
Bing Bong. There's a guy named Bing Bong.
These ribs are a little drier.
Justin and Jason Tan from
In this
Singapore.
case, I say they're about even.
Xia Yang.
But
That's
I still think I defer to ribs.
Andrew, have you had the ribs of the City Barbecue next to me?
probably a long time ago, but it's been a while. City Barbecue is
get
actually
those.
really good.
Yeah, I should just get those and make. We should just get those and brisket
Yeah,
and just compare them.
totally.
Because I always feel like those ribs are. I always enjoy those a lot.
I'm still.
Those look really good, whatever
Team
those
ribs.
are.
Everyone I talk to is Team Brisket, but I'm fully Team Ribs.
Or those onion rings.
Brisket is just like hot roast beef.
I mean, I do love Chili's baby back ribs.
That is a
Mhm.
ridiculous.
I know that's kind of like.
huge amount of- This
I was talking to my instructor. He was like, "Have you had my brisket?" I was like, "Yeah."
paltry amount.
It's like, "Oh, well, that was actually when I was trying a different formula." It's like, Hagin Seeger. Hey, Derek Liu, isn't that like someone
Yeah,
you know?
that's my old coworker.
Yeah.
Yep. Have a safe drive. All right,
He's probably done a lot of trailers for video games that you have seen.
Yeah, yeah. That's
He's done
cool.
ones for Nintendo. He did like Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah.
That was I didn't realize that thing was waving to the beat.
It's kind of how they did it in the show too.
James McGill. Nice
What is this again?
Thanks.
Better Call Saul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that thing is still waving.
To
I gave
this
Andrew a
day-
bunch of black and gray wife beaters, so he might have a little variety now in his wardrobe.
I got this new juicer. It's the
What's
So
in
this-
that juicer?
It's Gatorade, but in that shot you can tell it's not blending. In this one, I actually masked out the blending because I had to film it without the blending so you could hear me. But then I blended it.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
But in the other one, I didn't because my hand goes in front of it, and I was like, I'm not putting that much effort into this.
Dude, you put a ton of effort into this shout out.
It's like it feels really wasteful to put effort into these sometimes. Like, but then sometimes it gets really fun to do. So you're just like, I'll do it.
Yeah. Like if you come up with a good idea and you're like excited to see the end result, it's really easy to put lots of effort.
Yeah. And I should clarify when I say wasteful, because we do appreciate our patrons, obviously. But it always comes at the end of the episode, and like everything else is done, and then you're like, oh wait, I got to do all this.
Protect the environment. Every day, people leave hundreds and hundreds of gallons of poop right on the mountains, just dripping into the water supply that hikers drink from. I mean,
And this, of course, is a reference to Mount Whitney.
Jimmy, we're not in the Rocky Mountains. The soil outside is rich and fertile. From now on, berry. Oh, rich and fertile soil. That makes sense.
You know what you should do?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's possible, but you should take this song and use the better saxophone sample that you guys have now.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So, some of those shots were out of focus because the autofocus didn't work or something, but I overlaid the wavy man so it would feel more intentional. What is that Ewok hoodie from? That's actually a cool looking coat.
That coat, I always forget that I have it, but it's really funny. I loaned my friend Brendan like $80 for something, and I can't remember what it was. And he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna pay you back, but I actually want to get you something instead. Is that okay?" And I said, "Sure." So he bought me this Zelda trench coat.
Oh wow, that's cool. So was that Joystone? Was there someone actually named Joy?
I don't remember. Oh no. It's supposed to just be Joy, like the word.
Oh okay. So this shout out, I think when we were doing the live premiere, some of the people in the live chat were like, I don't get this one. I think they were like a little put off by how I was yelling at myself. And in the original scene, it is a bit like perturbing.
I know. I know what scene you're talking about.
This is Whiplash.
I've seen this
Yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah.
You know what's funny is after I saw this shout out, I was like, oh, I gotta finally watch that movie, and I watched it.
Yeah. What do you think? It's harder watching.
It was a good movie, but it's just it's dumb. Like
Yeah. Like
we're
this
talking
would
about music here. Like it's kind of an affront to music that anybody would treat it that militantly, but maybe there are people who do that. I don't know.
everything I've heard.
The J. Jonah Jameson guy.
Yeah. Oh man, I was just trying to remember that, and then I forgot it again. J. Jonah Jameson. Wait, I just have a computer. I'll just. J.K. Simmons.
Oh, J.K. Simmons.
Why do you suppose I just hurled a pillow at you, Gavin?
But I've heard that there are schools that take it really seriously, but the movie is still like very much an exaggeration.
I don't know.
Like music schools.
Yeah.
In 4, you idiot. One,
There's
2, 3,
music
4,
conservatories,
1,
which
2, 3, 4, 1, 2,
I didn't know.
So you do know the difference. If you deliberately sabotage my band.
The funny thing is, my rhythm is really bad in this, in both roles. There's one where I just very clearly clap off the beat as the music teacher.
Are you a dragger? Or are you gonna be on my freaking time? I'm gonna be on your time. What does it say right there? It says John Truitt. Not the composer, you idiot. Right next to that. Quarter note equals 215. Count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think 215 would be way faster than that, right?
I don't know. That's the wrong guy.
That's actual commentary. Andrew went to music school for 4 years to film this shout out.
Well, then say it. Say you're upset. I am upset.
These things are funny because you have to guess at the timing of the dialogue.
I am upset.
Oh, did you pause the one on the right a little bit?
Yeah.
That's the first time I noticed that.
There's two. Yeah, you were both in there.
John Whiplash.
And this, I was really intending on doing more of a Miami Vice shout out, but I couldn't get a white tuxedo in time. my instructor, Kung Fu instructor, actually had like a white suit jacket he was gonna let me borrow, but.
Oh, this isn't the Montgomery flea market, is it?
No, this is some random royalty-free thing.
No. I mean, the episode where I did the Montgomery flea market shout out.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
no, because I don't
it's
think
this
I
one.
heard about it yet. I don't think I heard about Montgomery Flea Market until whatever before the Manistee episode.
That's really funny because I thought that you told me about Montgomery flea market.
Is it?
I remember that video.
Anyway, this shout out, it's not based on anything. I was just trying to do a film noir thing. It's fine.
We should do more Because like we had that Western shout out a long time ago, where it's just like a genre. It's based on a genre.
Yeah.
It's cool that that text is slightly blurred.
Yeah, I was trying to give it that old film look. If I wanted to go all the way, I would have made it like kind of shaky.
Yeah.
Of all the times you could have worn your hat, Robby.
Oh, he
There
does.
you
You didn't
go.
wear your hat. Oh, okay, never mind. I was gonna say you didn't wear your hat in the beginning.
Visually, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, but just like the writing and the acting was just bad. It's just-
Are those the Dr. Peepers? That the other guy?
Yes. So the dialogue though, I did look up actual film noir dialogue, and like that skin of a grape thing was actually from a.
Is that tape on that jacket, or is that just how the jacket is?
It should be tape. Let me see it though. Okay, yeah. So that is my dad's old leather jacket, and
Tells me everything I needed.
the collar was fraying, and so his idea to fix it was to put that brown tape on it. And I'm like, yeah, I suppose that'll hedge or prevent the problem from getting worse, but it would have looked way cooler if you'd not done that.
One thing I've realized is that you can just go to tailors and like pay them to professionally repair things you enjoy.
Oh, yeah, I do that all the time, actually.
Yeah.
So if you don't know the backstory behind this Charlie Zhao, I cannot tell you how many times Thomas said Charlie Zhao instead of Joe for the shout-outs. But the funniest part is, why did we keep giving him Charlie Joe shout-outs?
I don't know. You know, I was thinking about that recently, and how come he says it like the Z I get because it's a Z, but how come it's ow instead of O? Like OU is still a
like out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The other thing, the other reason I was thinking of that is because Trader Joe's used to have like different brand names for
And
their.
I think they still have that, like Trader Jose and stuff.
Yeah, and they had Trader Ming's, and I'm like, you could have done Trader Joe's, but ZHOU.
Yeah,
No one
man.
would have known to say it like that, I guess. But
They would have said Trader Zhao's.
yeah. But Trader Ming is just like, that's nothing. There's no cleverness.
Oh, here it is.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any profound thoughts while we get older and older, waiting for this potato?
No.
Oh man.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
That was great. Okay. Well,
That part of the video is called Secret Profundity.
Yeah. When I do the chapters for the episodes, it's always secret something.
Oh yeah, I haven't looked at the chapter titles. Do you just basically do just identifying what it is, or do you?
Yeah, it used to be like for example, I would say like, oh, X time is the map sequence. But in the old ones that goes for a while, but since it's like an actual segment, now I think a little bit more about how to title it. But I just come up with stuff, yeah. Like some of these have lots of commas because I'm like, this is not more than one scene, but there's multiple things happening. But
cool. Okay, so final thoughts on this. Are we ever going to go back to Morgan Monroe? I kind of feel like no.
Probably not for a while, at least. I mean, I'd be down. I would be down, but
I'd be down to go there to not film and just go as a casual laid back trip.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Well, thank you all for watching this commentary.
Yep. All right. We'll see you in the next one.